All right. This is week 4 of our little AI learning circle for anyone who wasn't able to make it this last Saturday. And this actually concludes this learning circle session, all 4 weeks. There's no further ones on the calendar, none is scheduled. Although if enough people ask, I'm sure that we would be happy to do it again or work on some different topics. Um, it just kind of depends on what the public wants. All right, so this last week we talked about customizing your AI. Oh, computer, work with me. There we go. So we talked about why is something that you might want to take a look at, because you're going to help your AI kind of adapt to you, adapt to your working style, to your workflow, how you prefer to communicate. Maybe you want it to be a little friendlier, a little bubblier to remind you of a best friend, or maybe you want it to be more stoic, less wordy. Think about whether you prefer paragraph style or bullet points. And it's supposed to kind of match you in some way. I mean, that's supposed to be one of the strengths of AI. It works the way you want to work. So we're going to help it do that. And did anyone else hear that Google has incorporated AI more fully into their search features? If you click on AI mode, you can chat with it, just like it was kind of like almost like a Claude, I think, or a ChatGTP. So I guess there's no getting around using AI anymore. You are going to do it if you are on the internet. All right. Um, the most power you'll have is in the custom instructions, and I talk about ChatGTP and Claude because those are um, the two chatbots with the most market share right now, the top two. And that might change in the future, by which case all this will be will be changed too. It's moving so quickly. So when you go into the like it's kind of like the personalization section, there's usually a spot for custom instructions, and this is going to color how it interacts with you. And this is user controlled via your settings, and it applies to every new conversation. So make sure if you put an instruction in there, you want it to apply all the time. And then you can add your writing style here as well as kind of a reference point for whenever you need to pull it, have it pull it out because you want to write like a note or letter in your own voice. If you don't personalize it, it just stays in its default mode. So if you like the default mode, that's okay too. Just keep everything the same. Okay, let's start with ChatGTP. So in the bottom left corner, when you're looking at it, it kind of has your name and that you just kind of click on it and it pulls up like the settings for it. And then there's like a personalization button there. And that's awesome. And you actually are seeing my current settings right now for chat. So base tone and style, actually, there's several things to choose from. You can see that it's a drop-down menu here. I actually like it in cynical mode. I don't know. It just has a little quirk at the end of everything it sends me. Sometimes I find it funny. Um, Not everyone will, but that's okay. I think it has more friendly and bubbly things that you can choose from. So, uh, characteristics, you'll see mine's just default, leave it as it is. I want less enthusiasm unless I ask for it because I'm doing something that I want to push out to the public that I want people to get excited about. Um, Headers and lists, I like those, so I want more. Emojis, less. I don't hate emojis. They just have their place. That's all I'm saying. And I'm actually tinkering right now with the custom instructions. And I'm actually going to have ChatGTP help write them because I'm going to put in a whole bunch of documents and kind of see if it can find any patterns. And I've actually already done that once for some other stuff from my personal prompt library, which I'll show you later. And this one's actually a little bit easier than Claude, a little bit more user-friendly because it does have those drop-down menus, plus the custom instructions. And if you scroll down, this is just a screenshot of like the first page. If you scroll down, there's even more. You just kind of do it at your own pace. Um, Here's Claude's. Again, to get to it, it's that bottom left-hand corner. You click your name, settings, general profile. There you go. You can kind of see it up here at the top. A lot less drop-down menus. It's just instructions for Claude. And it says it'll keep these in mind across chats and co-work within their guidelines. So here's what I have written in there right now. I've modified this many times. I've put instructions in there that later I did not like. I think I'll like it in there, and then a day later, delete, delete, delete. I had at one point in there that I worked as a library staff, And it everything it turned out was through the eyes of a librarian or a library. And I actually don't use it for my library stuff much at all. It's much more personal stuff. So I'm like, delete, delete, delete. Um, so if I used AI more exclusively for my job, maybe someone who's working in tech or whatever, I might put that in there. But if it's just personal use, don't tell it what you do unless you want to see it every single time it it spits something back out at you. Let's see. I remember, yeah, these are actually pretty good. Time is limited. I need information in quick read form. Remove non-essential chatter. I enjoy bullet points. Um, my biggest happy point here was I find analogies helpful. And so now whenever it spits out something, it tries to do an analogy too, and I actually do like that. So that is staying in. Let's see. So here's a couple things to think about when you're writing your custom instructions. Think about the tone that you want, formal versus casual, direct versus nurturing. How do you want to be spoken to? Um, do you want more of a skeptical viewpoint or an encouraging viewpoint? So you can try in your little custom instructions. Try to say maybe reply like a blunt senior colleague or reply like a personal therapist. Just kind of give it a role, a constant, consistent role, and see if you like that. You may say, talk to me like you're my best friend. I'm not sure there's going to be any boundaries with that. If you were to say reply like a blunt senior colleague, there would be like professional boundaries, hopefully, that it puts in there. Format, bullet points versus prose. Length, short, medium, or long in their answers. I would prefer to put it towards short, but I think I would miss stuff, so I have it set at medium. If you like headers and tables and code blocks, here's one I like. Always start with too long, didn't read, because I just want like the summary at the front, and then later on I'll worry about the long stuff. Now, this is a more recent feature that they didn't used to have, is that you can toggle the memory of previous chats on and off. So it will remember everything we talked about in previous chats when I have that turned on. Sometimes I like that feature and sometimes I don't. It just kind of depends. You can review and delete the memory and stuff you have saved on like the chat like anytime. It's those little three dots on the side of each chat. You can go in there and delete. Stores facts across the sessions for better or for worse. Um, but you can tell it your job. I tried that. I didn't like that. Goals, preferences, and that will color how it talks back to you. Okay, so here was another thing I've started. A personal prompt library. Now there are ones that are on the internet, and I think we actually showed one or two of them in the past couple weeks. People are starting to share their prompts in order to get certain outcomes. So you don't have to start from the bottom, and design your own. You can just steal someone else's and tweak it, right? Which I like. So a prompt library is a centralized, organized collection of pre-written and tested instructions or prompts used to interact with AI models. It's like a recipe book, but for AI. Analogies. Hey, I told you I love them. And so it's really good for repeatedly used prompts. So I tell you, I got my chat over here. I've got my prompt library because it's like a Google Doc over here. Copy paste, depending on what I'm doing and what I need. Um, and it's not just the whole prompt. Like here's one of mine. Like I have prompt add-ons. So I fed ChatGTP a whole bunch of old writing I had done, and it kind of went through and sorted, and I used different voices and writing techniques depending on what I'm doing. If I'm writing something historical or nonfiction, fact-based something, it's going to sound different than if I'm doing like a civic advocacy paper where persuasion is the name of the game. So historical, evidence-based, make sure it's for a general audience, show uncertainty, honestly, and let historical figures remain complicated. They're people. They're going to be complicated. For if I'm using it because I'm done for the day. I'm not feeling creative and I need to create like a Facebook post that's interesting rather than saying, thank you for coming, da 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 da, at this and this time, which is short and sweet. I want the voice to be warmer, community centered, inviting without sounding too perky or salesy or corporate. And I'm like, that one's, I think is going to stay the same. When you do civic advocacy, hopeful but realistic, persuasive, focused on things like resilience, quality of life, creativity, leadership, long-term community strength, things that a rural community in Nebraska kind of needs to focus on. So instead of, so once I get the basic thing written that I want to put out, the content, I can feed it through something like Claude, and I can say, adjust the writing of this or rewrite it in my civic community voice. And that it kind of tells you what I want. There's other prompt add-ons that I've kind of stolen from other people that will say, make this prompt or make the outcome more clear, but use my words and my writing quirks as much as possible. And it's just checking for clarity, or making it shorter, taking some of the wordiness out, but it should still sound like you. So I was actually kind of interested to see my natural patterns. They're not something you would notice unless maybe someone pointed it out to you. Did you know that when you write like this, or when you have an end goal, you tend to write like this. When you have that end goal, you tend to write like this. And I'm like, well, that makes perfect sense. Okay, so earlier on, I did ask, I want to say Claude. I want to say Claude did this one for me. I asked it to create a prompt library using prompts that I thought would be useful for library patrons if they wanted to come in and needed help with a certain topic. And it actually did a pretty good job. I got I think it had like 7 or 8 different sections here. I think I may have told it to expand a couple times. But it talks about resumes, writing a resume, writing a cover letter that's specific to that job. It tells you to kind of upload what the job description was, and it kind of helps match your cover letter. It talks about how to teach yourself something new. I mean, these are things I never would have thought of. But that's kind of like the nice thing of AI is it also helps you think of things that you wouldn't have just thought of your own. Other people are asking these questions. Other people are asking AI to help. They want help understanding a bill or financial statement. They want help writing a hardship letter to delay or reduce a payment, making a plan to pay off their debt, creating routines, writing a message to a teacher about a concern, um, helping understand a lease agreement, writing a letter to a landlord about repair. So these were just prompt ideas that it thought would be a library's um, AI prompt library. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of a cute idea. And maybe as things progress further, that could be something that we could have patrons help us put together. It's like, what are your favorite AI prompts and what are the outcomes? All right, so this kind of was a short week. The end message here is always keep learning, don't fall behind. I'm not trying to push my fear of falling behind on you guys, but I think with how quickly technology just keeps changing in general, not necessarily just AI, but just tech in general, it's important to keep your eye on the ball here and don't fall too far behind. It's hard to play catch up. Um, so here's some continuing education here. Like I said, the top 2 chatbots right now, Claude and ChatGTP. Anthropic.skilljar.com. Here's a little screenshot of it, or a little snapshot of what that screen looks like. You can kind of get like little mini lessons here, Claude 101, Claude Code 101, Introduction to Claude Cowork. ChatGTP is academy at openai.com. OpenAI is the parent company of ChatGTP. And it can help you again. It has little videos here you can click on to kind of help you learn the fundamentals of each of their little um, of all the things that it can kind of do. And that one you can just kind of scroll down and see everything that's on there. So that was it for week 4. So if you ever have any questions or, um, I mean, we're still learning it too, but sometimes we can help if you're trying to get something specific at the end using AI or a chatbot. Sometimes we're helpful. Sometimes we're we're behind you. We're trying to keep up too, but we are happy to help if you want to ever bring a problem to us. We'll see what we can do. All right. All right, guys. Thanks for everything. We'll see you again later.